Good morning, chat. Hope y'all are doing amazing today. Plans today. Uh, get Golem re-rendered, and I'm just gonna split the shadow. I know it's gonna dramatically increase the number of files, but yeah, there's just too much annoying stuff keeping them merged. It's probably just not worth it. Plus, by doing that, I can make a lot of stuff line up with my scene inheritance and all that fun stuff, so... You know what I mean? You know what I mean, chat? So, let's get renders started before even doing startup, because if we're having a rendering day, that's basically all we're going to be doing today. So, oh. There we go. Whoops. Was a little intense on that audio. There we go. Much better. Okay. Positing. And that. Yeah. And while we're looking at that, let's also fix up the shadow parameters. One is the real one. I think this one. Hey there, Binkley. Going pretty good, though I unfortunately have a boring day of rendering planned ahead. But that does mean I'll have plenty of time to answer questions anyone has. How about you? What's up, my dude? Okay, 50, 50, 0, 0, 12.1. Maybe I don't want all of that on. Yeah, that's not... Oh, no. I mean, that is a different look. Uploaded your game? Nice! Congratulations, man. Absolutely congratulations. Interesting. There's not that much in paint happening. which means the issue was just positioning. Interesting. I'm still gonna do the re-render. Like, I've got to. And I'm gonna split up the shadow and the sprite. But that's very interesting that what I thought was the issue is just not relevant. Good to know. Good to know. Okay, let's get our list of actions again that I need to render. Make sure all of this is correct. Undo that. Square. Good. 32, 8. Do a single screenshot or single screen render first. Make sure we're in a good spot. Oh, I remember why the in-paint for the slime is so huge. Because the model is like the size of a skyscraper. That's why the in-paint is so ridiculous on that one. Fair enough. Okay. Four, 9. Oh. Does he look right? Yeah. Sort of. Don't like what's happening right there, but... Hold on. What? Oh yeah, there is a extra tentacle back there. Yeah, I should plump it up some. Yeah, let's take a look. Hmm? Why is nothing happening? On the main scene, which is correct. Why is this not doing anything? I'm confused. Literally nothing's happening. Why? It's just weird. Why would it not let me sculpt? That works. Okay, that works. Just want to make sure I undo anything that was done there. Apparently now it'll... What? Hey there, Zemius. How's it going? Blender? Yeah. This is not new. Like, I've been very blunt that all of my assets start out, or almost all of my assets start out in Blender. Why are you not letting me edit again? I don't understand. Why you no work? Have you tried Blender Toolkit? I have no idea what that is. That gives you a lot of free resources, alpha brushes for everything. Yeah, I just need to know how to make it let me move this like it was just a few seconds ago. Hey, this was working just a second ago. Like, I got it working. And then I undid some stuff and it stopped working again. I have no idea what caused it to work. What did I do? I'm so confused. I need it to work. Like, I am clicking right now and nothing's happening. That's what I need help with. You have a mask on? What's that? No, I'm not wearing a mask right now. I don't wear a mask while streaming. I don't think I have one of those, but... And considering just before you joined, I was able to move this thing, and then it just... won't let me now. Save, then reload. Okay. I don't see how that's gonna do anything, but okay. Probably a bug. Well... Correct, still no worky. Alt. Okay. Mesh doesn't have enough polygons to be sculpted. Well, I literally just sculpted. Your mesh has enough. Oh my god. Again, literally just had it working and did not change the model. I literally just hit Control Z and it stopped working. Blender is the worst thing ever. No, not dumb sometimes. It is the worst thing ever. It shouldn't have a selection outlined. Why not? Why wouldn't it have a selection outlined? Because I have something selected. I have something selected, so this should absolutely be selected. Regardless of what mode you're in, if you select something from the object viewer, you should absolutely have a selection. This is how you limit what you are sculpting. I promise, if you have a panel where you can select objects, like add a panel, and click on any object, I promise you will be able to select it, and what it does is cause you to not be able to sculpt things that are not selected. That is the purpose of this. So if you have a whole bunch of objects really close together, you can say, okay, I want to only sculpt this one. Don't think I want to remesh because that'll probably mess up all my animations. All I want to do is make this tentacle drippy thing less thin. That's all I want. Ah! What does tab do? Seems so weird to you how it's not working. I mean, this is just Blender. Blender just decides not to work because there's something you didn't click somewhere. So it disables everything. It's just kind of how Blender works. Like, oh, you didn't, like in some views, oh, you didn't click on an object here, so you don't get to do modeling. Oh, you didn't, you know, swap to object mode, click the object you care about, and then switch back to sculpt mode, and then, oh my god, now it works. I was literally memeing a fake explanation and then got it working. Oh, I hate this software so much. I hate it so much. Ah. Yeah, no, it's not edit mode that I need to go to. I needed to go to object mode, click on the object I want to edit, and then go back to sculpt mode. Yeah, it was what I was trying to do by clicking the object over here, which intuitively does the same thing. But it apparently doesn't do the same thing. Oh my god. Blender, stop. Oh, and of course those aren't attached. Of course those aren't attached. Oh my god. You don't see how that's hollow? Like, this isn't... There's no surface here. Why is there no surface there? Okay, let's see. Pretty sure I need modeling view because it's one of two things. It's either... Yeah, so it's actually not attached there. Wait, what? Why? Why are you like this, Blender? Let me get over there to see the vertices, please. Okay. I can kind of work like this. Trying to remember what the thing here is to patch the system. Mesh. Rude? Nope, that's not what I wanted. Oh god, no, that's definitely not what I want. There we go. New edge faces. Great. Fantastic. Okay. There. This. Hold on. There we go. A little better. I think we've got that guy all connected again. Oh. Did I miss a piece? No. Fine. Oh my god. Ah! But now, the bigger question. Does he still animate correctly, now that I've done that? Yes. Good. Range of Blender? You have no idea. Need to learn how to animate like you? I have not animated anything. I purchased these animations. I have... make no illusions that I know how to animate. This model came with all these animations. Okay, let's get a... oh no. Oh, right. I protected myself. Because sometimes I'm smart. Sometimes I'm smart. Oh, I love it when I'm smart. Oh, yes. Are you ready for this, chat? Slope mode seems normal now. There's no orangish outline. I mean, the outline I could bring back just by selecting an object in the object view. It won't change anything. But here's how I'm smart. I created an export of all the settings that make up a model. Now, this is missing some of the newer settings, but this means root shoot 1 and root ignore these end frames, they aren't necessary. The only one I care about is shoot 1 if it's here. Root shoot 1. Oh, that's 10. Do what? Oh, shoot, 01. Zero. Okay, good. What is this written in? This isn't written in anything. This is literally just an INI file. Like, it's just name value pairs, that's it. And you can get section headings. I mean, maybe there's a language, but it's not even a script. It's an INI file, initialization file. It has a list of properties, that's it. That's all it is. What language are INI files written? Maybe there's a language to it. But I've never even heard it referred to as a language. The code note. Used in PHP, so it's not written in PHP, it's used in PHP, which it's used in all kinds of things. I mean, like, this says it's written in plain text, which is true. Yeah, it's literally just a list of properties, that's all. Yeah. So, like, this tells me, oh, here's the angles that were rendered in the sprite sheet. But, like, in my code, I'm literally saying, print out these strings. But don't need this anymore. And shoot one. Good. Frames per action 32. Got plenty of extra frames. Angles 8. Render it up, you bad boy. Do you think that would be considered animation data? It is absolutely not animation data. 100% not animation data. I can show you animation data if you want to see it. After the render is complete. But animation data is just a list of transforms. Wait. Why did that finish so quickly? That should not be done yet. That's not good. What? Huh? Why frames? Right. Let's go. First off, don't override in frame. That doesn't make any sense. Oh, I just closed. What? You're gonna need to learn to do all this because it seems so fun. Or subscribe to my Ko-fi and you get this tool for free with your subscription. This whole panel here plus everything in compositing. Well, not everything in compositing. The shadow stuff is not in the Ko-fi version. But that's not too hard to add yourself either. Why did it... Maybe it was just being dumb. Just wish I had the funds. It's $5 a month to get everything. And you know, it's not like you have to stay subscribed. You can subscribe, grab the tools you want, then unsubscribe. But, ideally, you enjoy the stuff enough to stay subscribed so you can request new features, get new versions, all that stuff. But, theoretically, you don't have to stay subscribed. I think I provide enough value for it, but that is for the viewer to decide. As much as I'd love to be able to dictate how much value I'm providing, it's not how the market works. Okay, now I think it's actually working. I have no idea why it only rendered 2 frames for the last one. It's just weird. I've never seen it do that before. Alright. Well, let's play some game while we wait for the render. Even though that slows down the render significantly, it's fine. What are we working on today? Oh, right, I wanted to max out the story sword. This guy. It's so sad that we can't get syntonize levels with it. So sad. Oh, cool. I know that was overkill, but I'm gonna need those materials for other stuff in the future anyway. Okay, well, I'm not spending wave plates on that then. What am I spending wave plates on? Probably on this then. Never mind. Apparently I already had enough. Nope, 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 nope. Not that. There we go. Did not realize I had farmed enough to max out all this stuff already. Hey. What about add on your interest in? Yeah, if you're trying to make 2D stuff out of 3D models, like I spent months creating that add-on, and Like, it's the basis for all assets that have 8 directions in my game. And at base, it supports up to, I think, 16 directions? I don't remember. But it's easy enough to add more directions. Just keep in mind, if you add too much, Godot won't be able to load it. Oh, it's for 2D? Yeah. Like, it takes the 3D models and plops out these 2D sprite sheets. Obviously, this one didn't complete, but it creates sprite sheets for you. Why is there shadow? Oh, dang it. Well, I forgot to turn the shadow off. So, close program. Go away. Fire golem. I messed that up. Might have someone that would definitely be interested. Yeah, I mean, if you are someone who wants to make a 2D game and you don't have 3D animation skills, or sorry, and you don't have skills for making artwork, this is a way to get assets that are passable in terms of appearance. Hold on. There's... shoot one. Don't override. 8 angles. Positing. Don't render the shadow. Let's double check it before I waste more time like that. Okay. Now render. My bad. Well, that's already maxed out. Well, I've already maxed out the level on all this stuff. And I've already got the materials for this one. What is happening, chat? I promise I did not intentionally prepare this much. Oh good. Finally something I didn't prepare for. You know, 3 weapons later. Yeah, today is going to be a slow, long day on stream as far as development work goes, because it's gonna just be re-rendering everything from the golem. But hey, that means we'll make tons of progress on whatever games we're playing.
I stand ready.
You need to boot up Baldur's Gate 3 again? Yeah. Having fun with the new subclasses. I'm kind of interested in the new spells. But honestly, one game I'm thinking of replaying. Don't recommend streaming that though. Oh no, this channel can never stream that. Never. But one thing I'm thinking of replaying through is Solasta. Solasta is another turn-based tactical RPG like Baldur's Gate 3. Or I guess CRPG is a better description. But it's quite a bit more exploitable because you can short rest whenever. And it's instantaneous. Like Baldur's Gate 3, you're limited to, I think, 2 short rests unless you have a bard. Whereas Solasta, you can just short rest forever. Yeah, it's 2, okay. So, making a team of Sorlocks sounds hilarious to me. Oh yeah, in Baldur's Gate 3, time doesn't pass either when you short rest, never mind. But yeah, in Solasta, it works the same way, but you have an unlimited number of them. So like, after every single combat, there's no reason to not short rest. Which means, your fighters always have their action surge for every single fight. Your warlocks always have their 2 spell slots, or however many spell slots, for every single fight. It makes short rest classes insane. Which, I kind of really want to make a team that just exploits the heck out of that. And you can do some crazy stuff. Like, I'm kind of planning a team of 4 Sorlocks that start every combat with 1 round of 2 of the Sorlocks twin casting haste, and the other 2 twin casting greater invisibility. So I start every combat with a full invisible team that's hasted. Seems absolutely nutty. Oh, I agree. I agree completely. And you know, then on the next round, while all the enemies are trying to figure out where my party is, I just start throwing fireballs. Then again, blowing up a whole encampment with smoke powder and fire wine barrels is also pretty nutty. Oh, dude. Any CRPG that's even decent, you can pull off absolutely ridiculous moments like that. I mean, I'm assuming you've played one of the Divinity Original Sin games, right? You played at least one of them. Nope. So Divinity Original Sin and Divinity Original Sin 2 were the games that Larian made before Baldur's Gate 3. The second one is hailed as like the best CRPG ever made, potentially. I prefer the first one. Those kinds of games I'm usually not interested in. Alright. But, yeah, it's Baldur's Gate 3 before Baldur's Gate 3. An active role in the survey. Wait, what? Oh, just get to 100 points. Okay. Yeah, I just need to go grab an echo from something. Surely there's some sort of enemy around here I can grab. This'll work. Well, I thought this would work. There we go. That's not the right menu. Oh. Sure. I don't know, it feels just barely fluid enough where I can tolerate. Like, whatever game you're playing right now, the games I'm interested in. Like I said, the gameplay in the Divinity Original Sin games and Baldur's Gate 3 are the same in terms of fluidity. They are exactly the same game. Like, I think it literally uses the same engine as Divinity Original Sin 2. The one thing Divinity Original Sin 2 does way better and more involved than Baldur's Gate 3 is terrain interactions. Like, if you get good at setting up terrain, you just dominate the game. So, like, putting a rain cloud on the battlefield and then freezing it just disables entire teams. Or, you know, water plus electricity. You're stunning them and doing damage. Like, it's very, very powerful. And there's even, like, if I recall correctly, there's 3 interactions. So, like, you can make steam clouds that are electrified, so they can't as easily be gotten rid of. But, like, it's built into all of the combat systems in Divinity Original Sin 2 more so than Baldur's Gate 3. The original Divinity Original Sin didn't have as many interactions, but they were definitely still there. But I prefer the first one because it felt much less limited in terms of what abilities you could use when you wanted to use them. In 2, they added the whole source point system, which is cool from a narrative perspective, where your big, heavy-hitting abilities you can only use when you have source points that you've gathered from various mechanics. But after playing the first game, it just felt like my characters were gimped. It didn't feel like it was an interesting twist. It just felt like, oh, so these abilities that I was able to use whenever I wanted, now I just can't use basically ever. Well, that's lame. And the other thing is they heavily nerfed Lone Wolf. And Lone Wolf in the first game was ridiculously fun because it felt like having 2 characters in one. You got extra skill points, you got extra actions per round, like, your characters, while you had fewer of them, felt epic. Whereas in the second game, they realized that Lone Wolf was really, really powerful, and it wasn't... I think they intended it to be like a challenge run. And so in the second game, I think you... I want to say you don't get any extra skill points or very few extra. And instead of doubling your number of action points per round, I think it gives you like 1 or 2. Which means you are just nerfing yourself by going Lone Wolf. Which I think it's better to have something like that be a choice with trade-offs rather than just a straight-up nerf. Like, you're already limiting yourself in terms of what your team is capable of doing in terms of your options by going Lone Wolf. So, further limiting things by just making Lone Wolf characters functionally worse than having multiple characters in terms of turn economy, I think was just too heavy-handed. Which, you know, clearly the community, or decent portions of the community, agree with me, because one of the most popular mods for Original Sin 2, the turn-based outside of combat? No. Most CRPGs in the past decade are not turn-based out of combat. But yeah, like most popular mod, one of the most popular mods for the second game is modifying Lone Wolf to be exactly like the first game, because Lone Wolf in the first game was so much more fun. Is it easier with that version? Yeah. I would argue it's just as easy as if you didn't do Lone Wolf. Someone made Baldur's Gate 3 real time? That does not sound fun to me. Like, big part of that style of game for me is planning out my turns. I enjoy that aspect. Okay, what are we doing? What are we doing? How's my render going? It's still chugging away. Okay. BG3 real-time seems like a horrible idea. So, if the mechanisms for inputs were smoother, I think it could be fine. So, for example, if you could have something like the control scheme of this game, then, and having inputs tied to like the face buttons, have it auto-target whatever you're facing, that would be really cool. You definitely have to make your other party members function off of AI, which that mod exists out there. I guess we can do these trials real quick while we're waiting. But
Understood.
all I know is, after playing around with all kinds of builds in Solasta and Baldur's Gate 3, if I ever find a group to do actual D&D with again, I am 100% playing a sorcerer that all they do is buff the team. It's all I want them to do. Well, this is Ain. Yeah, buff my tank wizard, make the unkillable even more unkillable. Jokes aside, I never actually played D&D. Yeah, I could have so much fun just playing a sorcerer that all they do at the start of combat, like, their concentration is solely focused on things like double casting haste on, like, a fighter and a rogue, or double casting greater invisibility. Twin casting, that's the term. Baldur's Gate 3 is probably the best digital version of D&D you will ever experience. Probably tied with Solasta. I want to be fair to Solasta, because it's an extremely solid replication of D&D as well. There's a few things that each of the games changes from the core rules that hurts balance. I think both development studios didn't fully understand the reasons behind certain mechanics in the tabletop game, and that's resulted in some problems balance-wise. I mean, the combo I talked about with having 4 Sorlocks that run around with haste and invisibility, you can do that in the tabletop game, but you're probably never going to have a group of people that all want to play Sorlocks. You know, tabletop has all kinds of silly stuff you can do as well, but there's certain mechanics that they change that I disagree with their design decisions. One thing that I really don't care for that Baldur's Gate 3 did with Tactician mode is have the part of the increased difficulty be just nerfing specific playstyles and specific abilities. For example, haste interacting with extra attack is nerfed into the ground in Tactician mode. I think that is a terrible decision, design-wise. Because haste is meant to be a very effective kind of default fallback choice for a buff for your team. But why would they do that? Because haste is very effective in how it interacts with extra attack on a class like a fighter. For those who aren't aware, if you have a high-level fighter paired with a someone who can haste them, then, well, rogue doesn't really get much advantage out of haste, but greater invisibility sort of. Anywho, a fighter will get 3 attacks per round, typically, through their extra attack ability. With haste, that turns into 6. However, in Baldur's Gate 3 Tactician mode, you only get 1 extra attack. So your 3 becomes a 4 instead of a 6, which makes haste just not worth using. Haste is still worth using on casters, though, in Tactician mode. So Warlocks being hasted is just as effective as if you were on regular mode.
You can trust me to keep you safe.
Like a wizard. I think there's something there that got nerfed. I'm trying to remember. But long story short, I don't feel like modifying spell mechanics is a proper way to increase difficulty. Because I feel like certain playstyles are just being cheated. And it's not like they did this with all playstyles, right? Like, there's only specific spells that were nerfed. There's a whole bunch of tactics that work exactly the same way as they do in regular mode. Okay, so you just literally picked and chose which abilities you thought were too effective. Meanwhile, of course, because it's a CRPG, mechanics all over the place are hugely exploitable. Way, way more effective than just haste. You think changing enemy spells for difficulty can be a good way? For example, adding extra mechanics. So, given that Tactician mode makes a whole bunch of changes, for example, more enemies placed in specific combats that are stronger. Enemies are given things like legendary actions and legendary resistances. They are given more health, more damage. They are, like, all of these things are buffed. Why are you also nerfing the player? That feels weird. Like, and just in general, my design philosophy on games is Buffing enemies is fine for increasing difficulty. Nerfing players isn't, because it feels... So buffing enemies feels like a challenge, whereas nerfing players feels like a punishment. Good morning, still needs work. How's it going? That's how you think too? For me, it's such a simple bit of analysis on that. Like, and both of those things do the same thing, right? So nerfing a player versus buffing an enemy are functionally the same thing. And this isn't just me as a, you know, I haven't ever published a game before, so take everything I say with a grain of salt, but all of this is basically coming from what I've heard of really, really successful game developers and game designers, that it's pretty well understood, don't nerf the player. Because that just feels bad to players that have been enjoying a playstyle. Smite is a great example of a studio that, for the first, I don't know, 2 years of development, maybe 3 years, they basically refused to nerf any character. Their answer to balance problems was, okay, whatever characters are not effective enough, buff them. And anytime after a balance change, another character starts falling off in effectiveness, okay, time for them to get a buff. That way, no one ever felt like their character, their playstyle was getting punished. Which I think is a beautiful design approach. Because the effect of always buffing the weakest character is you are indirectly nerfing the strong characters. But because you're not directly nerfing it, players don't experience that sense of, oh great, now my playstyle doesn't work anymore, I need to change characters. And that works two ways, right? There's the aspect of it where your character that you like isn't actually changing. So, you don't have something instantaneously to grab onto and blame for why you're doing worse. Second, because the changes are introduced to other characters gradually, you don't experience the change overnight, and so one of two things is going to happen. You're going to slowly and gradually lose interest in that character you've been playing, which is fine, or you're going to just get better at it. Either of those are possible outcomes. Whereas, if a character receives a heavy nerf, a lot of players are going to say, okay, well, I don't care to get good enough to overcome these nerfs. Because it feels like an unfair punishment. Like, I've been enjoying this character, and now you're taking that away from me. Now, Smite eventually did start nerfing characters. Probably the biggest example was the Arachne rework. And in all fairness, Arachne was way too powerful. Like, we've talked about this character before. It was Blitzcrank with assassin stats. Like, assuming you were playing even slightly competently on an Arachne, it was just free kills whenever you wanted. So I get why that character had to be nerfed, but as a direct result, everyone stopped playing her. Like, She became the least used character overnight. And she's still, to my knowledge, very rarely used just because her new kit isn't that good. She's a squishy assassin that has a decent escape that has a moderately long startup. Like, it's very hard to commit with her, especially for lane engagement now. Do you think the nerf was needed? Absolutely. I don't think you could have maintained her kit in any reasonable way as it was. That said, it still destroyed that character. Like, she is now an undesirable character on teams because there are just characters that outperform her in every way at what she does. Which is sad. Okay, is my render done yet? Yes. Do you need a kit that's still enticing and so good, but not OP? I mean, yes. But simply yes. But, like, I don't know how you would make her better. The answer they came up with is she's basically a trapper. Her kit now is focused a lot more around putting traps at various places on the map to act almost as extra wards. And she's effective as that. But it completely changes her playstyle, right? So before, she was a highly aggressive assassin for ganking. Extremely aggressive, and was great at upsetting lanes. Yeah, I don't know how I'd feel about that playstyle. Now, she is okay at disrupting lanes, but her bigger role in supporting the team, and she's more of a support now, is laying traps. Which, if you were an assassin player and you love playing Arachne, you're probably not going to like her new playstyle. And that's the problem with overhauls and nerfs, right? You have a whole section of your player base that loves this character, and you're taking away their toy, is what's happening. We've talked about this with various properties, various franchises, that the creators are doing something to take away your toy. I'm ignoring you, Chompy. Notice that in a lot of MOBAs? Yeah, MOBAs are sort of a unique environment in this regard, because you need to maintain competitiveness. Yeah, whereas a game like what I'm making, I don't need to worry about competitive balance. Completely irrelevant. All I care about is, are all of the classes fun to play? That's all I care about. Let's see, did this fully render? Looks like it. Nice. Let's make a second source sprite sheets folder. Now I just want the shadows. Render again! And this is going to be a long day. But we've talked about this with other types of media as well. Movies are a great example. So let's take Star Wars, and talking about, you know, the Star Wars mega fans of yesteryear, like the people who were real big into the expanded universe, or is it extended universe, whichever. Anyway, like there's a whole bunch of lore in the expanded universe for Star Wars, and there, you've got fans that are absolutely invested in all that stuff. Disney comes out and their first move is, oh, we're decanonizing all of that. Okay. You just told your most dedicated fans that their favorite toy sucks, basically. It's unimportant. We don't like it. You can see yourself playing a AAA MMORPG game made by Dum Dum Company? I don't think I would ever make an MMO. If I were to ever make a game that plays like an MMO, it would use the same type of multiplayer as what I'm putting into my game that I'm making now. You don't think you'd ever want to be AAA? Oh, so if we're talking just in terms of budget, what AAA is, I would love to be a AAA studio. I would have so much fun with that. And a big part of what I would do as a AAA studio is work on cost cutting. There's so much waste in AAA development. Like, one thing I've learned that as part of my company that I think needs to be included in basically every company that I've ever worked in is at least one person that their entire job is freelance coordinator. That job description, I think, is vital to the modern environment for whether you're an enterprise company, whether you're a game development studio, someone who their job is go out and find freelancers that are really good at something that you don't have focused on your current team. And maybe it's something you don't need to have employed long term. Maybe it's something that you just need this one thing made, this one time, and then after that you've cut ties with the person. That's what freelancers are for. AAA studios, their answer to this stuff is, well, we need to go hire someone. Oh, we need to go hire someone. I see that. I shouldn't say that with game studios. With enterprise software, I saw that all the time. And there was this idea that working with freelancers was just not an option. Okay, but we work with contractors that you hire on 6-month contracts. So why can't we do the same thing for a freelancer with like a 1-month contract? Why not? Real life graphics, RTX on, ray tracing on, DLSS on, game made by Dum Dum. Just imagine. I don't even remember what DLSS is. AI upscaling? I think. Almost certainly not. Reason I say that, AI cannot run in real time, and DLSS is an option that affects things in real time. Deep learning super sampling is an AI-powered technology that enhances performance and image quality in games, especially on demanding titles. Okay, that I can almost guarantee is at least twisting the truth. It renders at a lower resolution, then using AI to upscale the image to a higher resolution, resulting in a boost in frame rates while maintaining visual fidelity. I would be very curious to know what they mean by AI. Or it adds horrible ghosting. Yeah. Yeah, I suspect it's not a real-time AI. I suspect it's something along the lines of they have basically an equivalent of lookup tables that have been pre-rendered by, or like pre-computed by an AI somewhere, but I don't know. I have no idea. I have not looked into this technology. I just know from experience, whatever AI overview tells you about something is going to be a compilation of a bunch of marketing and a bunch of articles from people who don't know anything about it. Because actual AI doesn't exist. Depends on what you mean by AI. Because remember, we also talk about enemy AI in video games. That's one term for AI that is completely and totally different from language learning model AI, which is completely different from you know, self-actualized and growing software AI that's in all of sci-fi. I think naming language learning models AI was a mistake. DLSS does use real time, I believe. Yeah, I'm not going to look into it, and without looking into it, I'm not going to be able to analyze it. Let's matchmake and have some fun here with other people while we wait. Don't know how it accomplishes that? Yeah, I mean... And we never will, most likely. Yeah, I wouldn't mind taking Jeju. Restore... I'll be a healer. Regardless, it makes the graphics awful. Yeah, with the games I tried it on, I didn't notice much of a change. You seen the Minecraft game that runs on the web? Totally generates the frames real time using AI. So that is... Yeah, I don't know how they're doing that. That's a whole kind of funky thing that's sort of at the bleeding edge of AI. So how do I use intro skills? Oh, they can use mine. Oh, or... I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Oh, well, we won. Cool. Makes the game look worse, in your opinion? So, the Minecraft AI game, I think, is an extremely cool concept. And like I said, it's the bleeding edge of that technology. Welcome back, Benkley. And if it's going good, just it's a rendering day, so you know, slow. And that is going to potentially be the first true AI game. Because as that type of AI improves, so let me give a description so people understand what that game is right now, and why it has so many limitations. That game tries to figure out what the next frame should be in real time. So, for example, if you go and look at a pool of lava, you may instantly be teleported to the Nether, which is basically hell in Minecraft. Because the AI is saying, oh, there's lava here. One of the potential outcomes after looking at lava is we look up and we see nether brick, right? And so functionally you are now in the nether. Well, as that AI improves, it's going to start understanding context. And of course, the term understanding is sort of a loose description of what's actually going on there, but for sake of explanation, let's say it understands. As it starts understanding more context, it's going to say, oh, well, we haven't actually gone to the Nether in the past, so maybe this is just a lava pool in the overworld. Great. As that level of understanding improves and increases, and as they start implementing more and more memory into the AI for understanding what has and has not happened, you're going to end up with eventually fully functional games. Potentially, I should say, you will potentially end up with a fully functional game at some point. And at that point, dude, the possibilities are pretty limitless. Like, just imagine games where you have different AI models for different types of games, and all you really have to give it is a list of abilities, a list of classes, enemies. You upload art assets for it, and suddenly your game just exists. And like the game code doesn't necessarily exist because AI is just figuring it out in real time. So this also means that everyone who ends up playing your game is going to get a slightly different game. You could then end up with games that effectively have a seed, you know, like Minecraft has a seed for generating the world. Well, there would be a seed for generating a game. And so if you end up with a really cool generation of a game, you can share that seed with other players and they get to play the version of the game that you got. And then, you know, you'd have weird situations where the game of the year or definitive edition of a game is not the original game that was AI powered. Instead, it's just the game with a hard-coded seed. This reminds me of the NVIDIA Collab game where the enemy is really intelligent, learns from the player. Yeah, that's not an AI thing, of course, but building systems to intelligently, I shouldn't say, intelligently isn't the right word, but, what would be the right word for that? Systems that reactively balance to players are really cool concept. I think most games do it poorly though. For example, if I'm doing poorly in a game, maybe I don't want you to decrease the difficulty for me. Maybe I want that challenge and I want to overcome that. So for players that enjoy a challenge, you're cheating them out of the gameplay they want in your game. And then for players that just want to relax with your game, if they happen to be really good at games, but they don't want that challenge, well, you've now taken that choice away from them as well. The really advanced neural network, as NVIDIA said. Yeah, I don't know about that one specifically. I'm thinking about, I think the game was Alien Isolation, where the alien reacts to how the player behaves. So, like, if the player is hiding more, there's an algorithm for detecting that, and the alien starts searching more. And searching in harder to reach places. At? I don't remember a random door being here. Hello? Knock knock! The render still going. Yeah, but generally adaptive difficulty, I think, has been a failed experiment. And I think it can be interesting from an academic perspective. I think that's mostly where it panned out, in my opinion. For example, the enemy will know who to attack first. For example, the healer or a tank. It'll attack with more force. Yeah, but you can do that without neural networks. All of that is easily accomplishable with basic enemy AI. Just, you know, building out a more complex version out of those basic tools. Neural networks are, I mean, as a tech demo, it's a cool idea, but definitely not necessary for accomplishing that. I mean, just look at what players were able to create with the Gambit system in Final Fantasy XII. You can create insanely sophisticated AI scripts, meaning like behaviors. Let's start calling those behavior scripts. I think that's a good way to delineate between the two different definitions of AI that we use in gaming, or in development. So you can create incredibly sophisticated behavior scripts in that game to handle all kinds of situations without player input. And so building something that understands or seems to understand, oh, this player is providing this amount of support to the team, so it needs to be higher priority. MMOs try to create that all the time with their aggro system. Healers, if they're healing a lot, generate X amount of aggro, which makes the enemies more likely to target them. And if done extremely well, would be indistinguishable from a neural network trying to do the same thing. Yeah, the trick with these types of technologies, let's see. For example, the enemy will know who to attack first, but it's hard-coded, right? I think, as you said, it's a model if your memory is not wrong. DG3, from what I've heard, it's based on AC. If you have high AC, you're less likely for the enemy to attack you. So, depends on what you mean by hard-coded. So, Baldur's Gate 3 has very simplistic weighting compared to World of Warcraft. So Baldur's Gate 3, it takes into account mostly your armor class. It says, okay, my chance to hit this enemy is blah blah blah. Therefore, I'm going to roll a die internally, a random number generator, and say, okay, if based on this weighting, so higher AC targets had lower priority, and then I target the enemy that's selected based on that random number that generates. That's an extremely simplistic version of what we're talking about here. World of Warcraft, on the other hand, says, okay, this player character has healed for 500 health points. That's going to give them a score of, let's say, 50. Then this assassin, or rogue, has done 2,000 damage. I'm going to assign them a score of 200. Okay, well, 200 is higher than 50. Therefore, I'm attacking the rogue next. Have its functions, though. True. Again, if it is sufficiently sophisticated, it will be indistinguishable from AI or neural networks.
Leave it to me. It's the painting. Capture the spark. My compliments. You will yield. The world is mine.
What I like about this new game is the enemy will get more powerful the more you try to fight it. And simulate that too without AI, adjust stats and things. Yeah, all of these attempts to solve these problems with AI and neural networks are just re-solving problems that have already been solved with much simpler technologies. And that's part of growing a new technology. The step after that is figuring out what problems can we solve that are new, that the old way of doing things couldn't solve. Yeah, so things like AI adjusted difficulty, I find very boring. I think it's a necessary step in understanding how to apply AI, but in terms of the result for gameplay, I think it's very, very boring. AI would be good for dynamic dialogue. Maybe someday. The one limitation you're probably... No, AI will eventually solve that too. I was going to say one limitation you'll have is not being able to voice act, but eventually AI is going to solve that as well. An interesting consequence of that is going to be very complex contracts. Because imagine you're a voice actor that's hired for an AI game. Well, when you go record your voice lines, you're not going to be recording specific voice lines. You're going to be recording a whole bunch of sounds so that lines can then be constructed from your sound bits. And it's going to be a lot more work on the voice actors for one. But then the question becomes, okay, so your voice was used to dynamically generate or as part of machine learning for a game. Well, what if that studio wants to produce a second game? Do they have the right to use your voice again? Well, the contracts for voice actors are going to have to catch up to this stuff. Render done. Please tell me render's done. Yes, good. Okay. These were what? Lap. Okay, next up. Yeah, Chompy, I'll check that out off stream and then see about putting it on stream tomorrow. Good at making voices, but once it perfects that, I believe it'll get pretty insane. Because you need to be able to do things like engage conversation with an NPC for any amount of time. Yeah, no, the possibilities of what can come later are insanely cool. Right now, we don't really have the capability to do all that fun stuff. But eventually, it's going to be amazing. But, like, you're mentioning how it would be amazing for... Mers is the game? Okay. Yeah, I'll check it out off stream. I don't see why you would limit it to voicing, though. Like, game mechanics could be driven by AI. Like, the theoretical future gaming that is predicted in a lot of anime, where the world just reacts naturally to you. I don't see why you couldn't have AI produce that kind of thing at some point in the future. Like, you give it some fundamental rules, like how physics works, and then you let it just generate whatever is going to happen. Just imagine Elden Ring 2 powered by NVIDIA Ace. Where bosses change their movesets every time. See, that I think is an improper use of AI. Could you do it? Absolutely. Should you do it? Nope. 49. Battle 1, 49. Oh, that's already saved. Good. Okay. Get rid of shadow, bring model back, and render. Is it fun to play and adds a lot of repeatability? So, is it fun to play? You are assuming yes. One, we've never had such a game, so I don't think you can definitively say it is fun. Because I think a big part of the fun of games is the deterministic rule set. So if you're going into a fight against, and part of that is the social aspect. So if we're both playing Elden Ring and we both are fighting the same boss, we can have a social interaction between the two of us describing our experiences with the fight. But if it's powered by AI and the movesets are different, then we're not actually playing the same game anymore. We're not fighting the same boss. So we can no longer compare notes. We can no longer have those conversations where, oh man, I can't figure out how to handle this attack. And then you're gonna say, well, what do you mean that attack? He doesn't have that attack. Like, it'll break down that social aspect of gaming, I fear. And especially since every time you go and fight that boss, it's going to be different. It's boring after repeating the same enemy with the same moveset and same patterns. I just disagree with that. I continue to enjoy fighting Dark Souls 3 bosses, and I have fought each and every one of them dozens of times now. But I still absolutely adore it. Good moveset can go so far. Yeah. And it's not like Dark Souls bosses don't still trip people up. Like, you can be an amazing player, and the AI, or the behavior scripts decide to do something slightly differently this time around, and it throws you off. Like, the behavior scripts have become very sophisticated in these games. And I just think having enemies that actually change their fundamental behaviors based on an AI decision, I don't think that's a wise choice. Black Myth Wukong or Promise Consort Radon not following a pattern and just throwing random moves at you while you keep coming back thinking you finally understood their moveset. Yeah, that would not be enjoyable. Because like anyone who has played a lot of Souls games will tell you a fundamental aspect of Souls games is learning enemy movesets. If it's powered by AI and literally the animations movesets are changing, that whole mechanic in the game is gone, and it's no longer a Souls game in my mind. Like, you have destroyed a fundamental aspect of that style of game. I just realized something weird. Guys, does something look wrong with this icon? Like, I know I'm changing subject dramatically here, but you guys notice something weird about this icon? Hey chat, do you see it? Specify which part? I'm asking you guys to... Do you see the issue with it? You have no friends? No. So this icon is two hands shaking, right? What's the problem? I find this so funny. And I'm shocked I haven't noticed it before now. I'll let you guys tell me what the... Are we talking from artistic point? No. Like, there's literally part of this icon that's just wrong. Chat. I'm very disappointed in you. Count the number of fingers on each hand. The hand in the back has 4 fingers and a thumb. The hand in the front has 3 fingers and probably a thumb that's hidden behind. It's missing a finger! You're back? Did you hear me? It's missing a finger! One of the hands has 4 fingers and a thumb. The other has 3 fingers and a thumb that's hidden. Unless the other person's, like, covering up their pinky, but that doesn't make any sense. That's not how handshakes work. Almost looks AI, to be honest. I don't agree that it looks AI. AI would have, like, a finger merging into the other hand. Anyway, doesn't that feature make it more realistic, like a real fight? No. Because people in real fights have patterns. They have different tells, different, like, this is something any professional fighter in any sort of martial art, like sword fighting, kickboxing, anything, will tell you. You can learn your opponent. Now, will an opponent change and improve in real life? Sure. But they're still going to have some things consistent, like fundamental stances. Their tells are very often the same throughout their career. Guys, you don't need to keep looking for problems. I already told you. The issue is one hand has more fingers than the other. But yeah, the idea that a real-life opponent, their style and moveset is going to completely change, just, that doesn't happen. Like, if you were to apply AI to, but this is still getting away from the core point I was making, which is a fundamental aspect of games, and part of why they're fun is you have a defined set of rules. Like, you are playing against an opponent, meaning the game is your opponent. I'm not talking about individual enemies. The game as your obstacle, your opponent, has a defined set of rules. If you have AI dynamically changing those rules, you're going to constantly feel cheated. So, for example, like, why limit it to moveset? Let's talk about resistances. You go into a fight against a fire golem, and you're like, I'm gonna bring ice magic, because it'll be more effective. Well, the next time you go and fight it, it's now resistant to ice. Okay? Is that fun? No, it's not. Part of the fun of games is their predictability. And this is something that isn't really understood by a lot of gamers, is why they have fun with these things, is there's a safety in understanding fixed rules with a game. I'd still go. And it's so important to maintain that aspect, that fairness, that it's almost like a social contract. Because it bought an ice-resistant band with the Wandering Merchant. Again, you should not be changing dynamically game mechanics like that. Because it's just going to feel unfair to a player. It's like, I'm a player, I'm learning this game. A big aspect of games is you are learning the game. You are learning its systems. You're learning how things interact. And if that's constantly changing, you never reach a point of understanding. And if you don't ever reach that point of understanding, you're never going to have that sense of accomplishment. Games are not meant to be perfect representations of reality. Even if in reality you had opponents that randomly change their fighting styles, games aren't meant to be perfect recreations. Oh man, if boss would be pissed if millions of players just come and beat me up. Let me win for once. Bosses win fights all the time. Dark Souls, again, is an excellent example. Even people that are amazing at the game still die to bosses. It's not like once you get good enough, you just stop dying. But regardless, a game is meant to be a game. It is not supposed to be a training simulator that, you know, advances infinitely. Like, there's this weird idea that some developers get, especially more junior developers in game design, where they think that they want to try and replicate real life exactly. That's not the purpose of a game. Think back to hide and seek when you're a kid. Why is hide and seek fun? Because it has a simple set of rules that are well defined, and you can get better at playing within those rules. That's what it is. Except let me solo her, that's a menace. Why? But yeah, having fixed rules is absolutely vital to broad enjoyment of a game. That's part of what I think defines what a game is. Once you have mechanics dynamically changing, I'm not sure it's still a game. Like, I think you might have to come up with a new name for whatever that is. Like, imagine you're playing football, and the definition of what a first down is keeps changing every other play. Or every play. Like, oh, this play, first down is 5 yards of progression. Next turn, or next, what's the word? My brain just died. What if this AI feature only available to the players who want it, like a button to enable that feature? You're asking for a lot of development time to be put into something that the majority of players are not going to want. It's a bad business decision at that point. Then it would be like those Pokemon randomizers. I mean, randomizers still have very fixed rule sets. Developing an AI for what you're talking about would be a massive investment. And even if we're talking far into the future, where AIs are easy to put together, it's still going to be a big business. And majority of players are not going to enjoy a game that is constantly changing. Now, you could make an argument for having AI generate the mechanics at startup of a game. Like the moment you make your first save file, it saves all of the mechanics of the game. You can make an argument for that. And I talked about that briefly earlier, where you'd have basically a seed that describes all the game mechanics. I think you can definitely have games like that. And part of what you would do is have a definitive seed. But having a moveset change every time you fight an enemy, I don't think that's ever going to be more than a tech demo. Just because most players will not enjoy that experience. You might find some niche players that enjoy that, but the vast majority will not. And it's not just based on increased difficulty. Remember, if AI is changing the moveset of an enemy, each generation isn't necessarily harder. It could be easier, dramatically so. And so a player that's really good at the game, they go and fight that enemy one time, and maybe its moveset has been reduced down to just running in circles and jumping on you. Okay. Well, now you have a system that not only cheats players who want consistent rule by giving them unfair random jumps in difficulty each time they attempt something, but also you have random dips in difficulty. So part of the game that you've just created, and I don't think you intentionally created, is rerunning the boss fight, not so that you can beat it each time, but just so you can regenerate a moveset that's going to be easier for you to fight. Like, this happens all the time with roguelikes, where you have like a random set of items you can get at the start of a run. Well, a lot of people, myself included, will just go die over and over again until we get a starting item we want. Another one is PUBG Ally, a generative AI that will assist you in game. Bots, but hella better in the game. Again, I don't think that's a good idea. One, you will eventually reach a point where the AI will just be better than players. For a whole host of reasons. Not the least of which is lag. The game is not going to have any lag. So its ability to perform is going to just be inherently better than a player. I like, people are going to try what you're describing. It's going to happen. But I firmly believe there will never be wide acceptance of it. Main point is NVIDIA Ace technology. It ain't happening in my game. Yeah. All of it is happening that. Again, you can create all the technologies you want. If there's not acceptance of it, it doesn't really matter. But, and I think introducing this type of thing would fundamentally break what a game is and why people enjoy games. But I've talked that point to death at this point. Let's see, let's get the next shadow rendering. Man. 2 hours in and we've got not even 2 sprite sheets rendered. Ugh. It'll be a long day. I think, as with any technology, the key to applying AI is learning what problems are best to be solved by it. But like that point, I want to stress, any technology you're using, the important aspect is learning what problems are best suited for that. To apply this, to expand on this in another industry, movie making. When do you use CGI versus practical effects? There is an art, and there's an art and a science to that. Understanding when practical effects are going to be more effective and more cost effective in particular is, in my opinion, vital to producing better movies and better visuals. One movie trilogy that did this amazingly well, Lord of the Rings. Where I'm talking like Fellowship, Two Towers, Return of the King. Those movies really understood when to use practical versus CGI. really understood that. Avatar as well? No. Avatar absolutely did not understand when to use CGI versus practical. Was it amazing CGI? Yes. Has it ever been beaten? No. But could they have cut their budget in half by doing more practical and getting the same result? Yes. Almost everything in the first Avatar was CGI. And they wasted massive amounts of money by doing that.
Can you keep up? Quickly and swiftly.
There's tons of things that can be done at a fraction of the cost by going practical. But it's become such a
My compliments.
part of the economy, or not economy, the environment of movie creation, that it's just sort of accepted that if anything's wrong, oh, we'll fix it in post with animators.
Brilliant lights the way.
Which has created a just absolutely awful environment where reshoots of scenes are just not done a lot of times. Like, oh, we didn't get the angle we wanted exactly on this. We didn't get the expression we wanted on this from this actor. So instead of doing a reshoot that's going to take, let's say, 30 minutes, just let the animators handle it after we finish filming, which is going to take them, a whole team, a week of work to fix that thing, but the director doesn't have to sit there and the actors don't have to sit there, so it's fine. But you end up spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to fix what a reshoot would have fixed with a couple thousand. And when I say practical effects, I don't just mean makeup. I mean, reshoots are a practical effect. It's part of editing. And then, for example, one of the biggest travesties of CGI in recent history, semi-recent history, that I think we can all agree on, is Henry Cavill's mustache in Superman, where they use CGI to edit out his mustache. Don't do that. Like, there's one, they should have just said, okay, whatever, we'll take the cuts we've got, because the reason that happened, Henry Cavill was under contract for another movie where he needed to have a mustache. But that's the kind of thing that in the past, the two studios would have just fought it out. They would have said, okay, I need him to not have a mustache. Here's, $5 million to have him shave his mustache and you guys use a fake mustache for your movie. That happened in the past. Or they said, well, we can't afford to wait for him to be done with that movie. We can't afford to pay them to use a fake mustache, so we'll just live with the cuts we got. That just sounds lazy. Oh, about the using CGI to fix stuff. It is. And it's all in service of, shouldn't say all, but it's largely in service of marketing and investors. Because film studios love being able to throw out there, oh, filming is finished. And the faster you finish filming, the better when it comes to marketing and investors. Okay, well, that is going to heavily encourage people to use CGI to fix things after the fact. And it's becoming to the point that the fact that filming is done is irrelevant. Like, you need to just do reshoots. Like, if you're writing a book, Do you publish your first draft? No. Certainly not. You should be redrafting. By that same token, you should be doing reshoots. You should be doing multiple takes. What would be very interesting to me is looking at what is the average number of takes for a scene now versus 50 years ago. I bet that it has gone down by like 50% or more. Even 30 years ago? Oh yeah. For that matter, even 20 years ago. Like, and you can see it in just the performance from actors in various movies, where how many times have you been watching a movie and an actor says something in a weird way and your instant reaction is, really, director? That's the version of that line you wanted in this movie? Really? And there was no better this actor could have done. All right. One of the greatest examples in my mind is the throne room fight scene in... Oh, what's the movie? My brain's saying Return of the Jedi, but that's wrong. Force Awakens. What was Rian Johnson's Star Wars movie? Shoot. That's still rendering. Star Wars movies. What was it? Not Rise of Skywalker. Force Awakens. Not Revenge of the Sith. Oh, wait. It was Rise of... Wait. Oh. The Last Jedi? Was that the one? Yes. Yes, Rian Johnson. So the throne room fight scene. Now, I mean, this point has been talked to death by content creators all over the place. They did this in just a handful of takes. And there were mistakes all over the place. Where one of the hero guards or whatever these guys are had openings to kill the protagonist and then realized, oh right, I'm not allowed to kill them, so they just stopped moving. That's dumb. You need to do a retake. Or there's one moment where one of these guys has a dagger that they have an opening to just stab Rey. Like, it's blatant. There's an opening. And they use CGI to make the dagger disappear. Last Jedi, throne room, disappearing dagger. It's wild. Like, why would you not do another shoot? It's laziness. It was Rian Johnson just not wanting to spend more time on it. Yep, right there. It's a little hard to see because it's so fast. So notice the guy in back, in his left hand, he has this knife. And in the next moment, he has a perfect opening to stab Rey with it. But, so the hand is now behind her. Why isn't he stabbing her? Why hasn't he killed the protagonist? Oh, that's because the dagger disappeared. Oh, it's gone now. You know, you could have redone this fight scene where he just doesn't have two knives. Could have done that. Go back to the abyss where you came from. Though, then again, they did introduce force across the galaxy teleportation of objects. So, who knows? Maybe she just teleported the dagger away. It's so dumb. Guys, bring back reshoots. Like, going back, there were movie scenes where a director would do like 50 takes of a scene until he got the one he wanted. Now they just say, just take that one, and we'll let the CGI guys fix whatever's wrong. It's baffling. Movies. Average number of takes per scene. What? This statistic probably doesn't even exist out there. The average number of takes can vary from a few to several hundred. Let's go down the rabbit hole. Hey, it's a rendering day. I'm just waiting on this, so yeah, let's go down the rabbit hole. And I don't want to get off in the weeds on development because then I'll get too focused on that and not be rendering. Here we go. Let's actually ask this question. Average number of takes per scene in The Last Jedi. How many takes did Rian Johnson do? There isn't a definitive average. Yeah. How many takes are needed? Well, let's just... One thing that may be known. The Last Jedi. How many takes were there of the throne room fights? Because if it was anything less than 5... Wait. So, in over 25 takes, that was the best you got. Oh god. Assuming that's even a correct description of what they're talking about, because knowing AI, it's saying over 25, it could mean cuts rather than takes. Why the throne room fight was the worst fight in all of, I'm assuming, movies or Star Wars. Imagine if it meant overall. I think there's more than 25 takes or cuts in that scene. 25 reshoots or 25 takes overall in the movie. You know, if someone told me that's how many takes was in the entire Last Jedi movie, I'd believe it. I really would. The combination of poor writing and just overall laziness in the sequel trilogy is astonishing for how much money was thrown at those. Absolutely astonishing. Like, oof. If I had 1% of their budget, I could make something ridiculously amazing. It's always about the money. Right, but the amount of money they threw at it would suggest they had the budget to fix these things. Like, the fact that the choreography in the fight scenes is just awful from characters that we've been told have potentially decades of training with these weapons. Minimally, they have, what, 5 to 10 years training with these weapons? They look like amateurs. I don't watch movies anymore unless it's indie. It's fair. It's very fair. This is Idle. 8. Next up, run is frame 0. I think it actually remembers all these, but I'll check them anyways as I go. Run 1, don't give an in frame. Indie animations are better than big budget films nowadays. They may be a few that did things right I'm unaware of, but overall. Yeah, one of the biggest offenders in my mind is Illumination Studios. Like, they've become the new standard for 3D animated movies. But they're so repetitive in their use of animations that there's no individuality and personality to separate characters. Like the bubbly little girls in Despicable Me are identical in the way they animate to the children in the Grinch movie. Why would that be the case? Why did you reuse animations for that? Well, you wanted to save money. But the more you do that, the more you lose individuality of character. And some aspects of Illumination have been animated very well. I think the Lorax was animated quite well, meaning the Lorax character himself. But one thing that is just in animation, or in Illumination's animations, is the sort of spastic child character. Almost all their movies have that character. And the more you start noticing these things, the more obvious it becomes, obviously, I mean, how do I want to phrase that? The more you start noticing that, the more annoying and blatant the reuse becomes. Then again, the other aspect of animated movies in recent history that I think is severely hurting them is the prominence of using big name screen actors as voice actors, which I find to be a massive mistake. Screen actors are used to using their faces and bodies to convey emotions and intent behind what they're saying and communicate. Voice actors, that what they specialize in is voice acting, have refined their skills in conveying meaning through just spoken word. And they're exceptional at that. And casting screen actors instead of voice actors for these roles, I mean, big roles. Look at Mario. That was Chris Pratt, I believe. Mario voice actor. Yeah, Chris Pratt. Um, why would you not cast a voice actor for what is arguably one of the biggest animated roles, at least in the past decade? Because in my mind, Mario sounds in that movie like Chris Pratt. I don't get strong Mario vibes. The worst offender, though, in my mind was Jack Black when he's casting this stuff. He doesn't, like, Jack Black to me always sounds like Jack Black. Whereas you could have gotten a professional voice actor that gives that individuality and personality to those characters. Super duper important to me. Let's see. I could try to do those harder ones, but I don't think I care. Because they're not fun. Battle time, 10 seconds co-op. Yeah, like, we tried this yesterday, and it was... the enemy was just one-shot killing us. And, like, literally every hit being a one-shot kill, to me, is not fun. Damage received by resonators without full HP is increased by 50%, while the damage received by resonators full HP is reduced by 50%. And like this. Okay, so you get one hit. Eh. I mean, if you're using shielding, you can help that a bit, but this does not strike me as fun. Also, oh, those are the echoes, not the enemies. Can I see the list of enemies? Ah, fallacy of no return. Okay. Yeah, Dragon of Dirge, he has too many things that can just, like, raise you. And the window for dodging is weird on a lot of his moves. It just... not fun. Lorelei was fine, and I was able to do that one in multiplayer because her moves are reasonable to dodge. A lot of her stuff is slow, and actually even her quick stuff wasn't one-shotting. When the enemy's HP is lower than 50%, gain a shield based on 30% max HP. When you are shielded, the enemy's attack is increased by 50%, but the respiration damage it takes by 100%. Eh. Yeah. Not fun, in my opinion. But that's obviously a purely subjective review of that event. In general, I'm not a fan of difficulty for difficulty's sake. I know there's some gamers that love that, where just give them more and more difficult stuff as much as you can. But like for me, I enjoy easy games a lot. Hey there's lad, how's it going? I think it's probably time that I say we're done with this game. Like, we're still doing a rendering day, but yeah, you might be slightly off on the Christmas thing. And you can't even be pulling a Christmas in July comment there. But you've been missing out on all of our long discussions about game design, AI, and movies. Let's see, what do we want to delve into next? Oh, let's check out what the epic free game is. Repeat the last one? What do you mean? Repeat the last what? The thing you just said? We were talking about how, or I was talking about how you need to be using voice actors for animated characters because that's their trait. They specialize in bringing animated characters to life through their voice. Using screen actors, I think, is a massive mistake. I use the example of Chris Pratt being cast as Mario. Like, I get why they did it. Chris Pratt has massive name recognition. Why I heard boobies? I don't know. Because I said movies. Botanicula. What is this? Looks cute. I don't know what this is, but it's free. Oh, it's got a, like, creepy cute look. Sure, I'll pick it up. Why not? You know we don't talk about naughty stuff on this channel. You know this game in the studio? Yeah. Let's see. Animated design? Yeah, if they're the same studio that's produced other games with that art style, I do recognize their work. What are we gonna look up? We can look for asset bundles, maybe. While we wait for a render. Done? No. Map making mega bundle. Nope. Music production bundle. Well, thank you. Certification. Ooh. This is actually pretty huge. So, if this comes with actual certifications, this bundle is massive for boosting your hireability. Like, if these are real certifications, you can put these on your resume. Read the license first. License is irrelevant when you were talking certifications. The point of the certification is to be able to put it on your resume, and if these are actually courses that you receive a certification from, then yes, you can put it on your resume. We're not. This isn't asset related. This is really cool. Ow, AI infrastructure and operations certification? Dude. CompTIA pen test plus certification? Okay. Guys, I'm posting this on the Discord because this is huge. And I may have to pick this up for myself and my career. Like, outside of my company. Cloud Security Engineer certification. Hold on. Practice freely with 10 exams and unlimited access. Prepare roles in cloud security. With a certification that open. Yeah, I think these are like full-on certifications. This is crazy. Huh. Yeah. Very cool. Do these give you certifications, or are they certified by said companies? Where is your CompTIA course that I want to see? That'll tell me what this is. Oh, I can just search. Okay, what is this? CompTIA A+ course provides foundational training on IT fundamentals and technical skills essential. Ultimate starting point for those new to the IT field or seeking to formalize their IT skills with a globally recognized certification. You're getting a certification. I know this is... I mean, it's a certification from this company. Like, that's how certifications work, but, like, it's a certification. Meaning you can throw this on your resume. That's really cool. Which means the rest of these probably carry with them certifications as well. That's cool. Yeah, I'm throwing this on the server for you guys. Yeah, general talk. Crazy value certifications bundle. Go. Yeah, no, if you want to beef up your resume, this is an insane value. And looking over here, like the pricing, $500 for a certification course is very normal. You're making a game and you want to be an AWS engineer at the same time? I gotta pay the bills, my dude. Like, game development is not paying my bills right now. But like I was saying, $500 very, very normal. So to get all of these courses for 25 bucks is absolutely insane. Game dev is expensive. Doesn't have to be, but in terms of opportunity cost, yes, So every hour that I'm working on my game and streaming to you guys could be an hour spent making $80 an hour. Get it? But it also sounds like planning for failure. Half measure, you know? I mean, I have been spending over a year now on this business venture. And I mean, I'll just be transparent. Last year, I made, from this company, I made about $200 in the entire year. That's not gonna work. Like, I can't be spending 40 hours a week on a business venture that is not making money, like on a scale that can support my like my rent. Well, you don't have a game. That's true. How is it supposed to make money? In theory, part of the channel is supposed to be bringing in some money because I'm providing you guys education on a lot of this stuff. Like, I like to think that a lot of my viewers have learned a whole lot from me, explaining various things and watching me fail. And learn. But you have 3 viewers on average? I'm aware, fully aware. Yeah, you said one of the naughty words because bots like to use that word all the time. Oh yeah, dude, I am absolutely aware that this channel has not picked up to the level that I would need it to support me. So why is it a problem that I want to potentially beef up my resume for making money outside of this channel? Like, what exactly is your advice to me? Because your advice seems to be that if I go work on a job outside of this, I'm planning to fail. But at the same time, working on this is also stupid because it's not supporting me currently. Like, what is your advice? Like, if anyone has an answer for how to turn this into a financial success, don't have any advice, don't know the intricacies of your life, only reviewing options. Well, last year was a financial loss for me, big time. It was investing all of my time just about into this company. But from my general life experience, half measures don't work. Not having contingency plans is a very foolish way to go about your financial life. Always, always, always have contingency plans. Otherwise, you have no fallback in the case of a failure. So yes, in a sense, you are planning for failure. Yeah, you should plan for failure is always an option. And so you should have a plan for if things fail. Certainly. That's just good common sense. This is entertainment industry. It's all risk and zero security. I disagree. I think you have a overly simplified view of the industry and finances in that case. If you're not prepared to go all in and either win or die, you shouldn't go into this. That I pray that literally no one ever takes your advice on that. That is potentially the worst advice you can give anyone. because going with that philosophy, you will have almost no one attempting new things. Practically every successful solo indie developer did exactly that. That's just untrue. Massive numbers of successful indie developers had a day job until their indie development could support them. That's just absolutely the case. Most startups in all industries, people have day jobs until their companies can support them. That's just how it's worked in IT forever. This idea you have that you need to abandon all other sources of income and just focus on one thing, that's not how the real world works. And even these indie developers you're talking about that were big successes that abandoned everything else, they only did that by first building up a whole bunch of money to be able to sustain at a loss for a long period of time. But no, this is not how most of the industry has worked. And it is not the way your average person who wants to get into indie development should operate. Sorry, but I seriously think you need to revisit how good that advice is before giving it to people. Generally, any sort of business and financial advice you should give someone should not be a, if you fail, you're just homeless. That's just bad advice. Always, always, always make sure you have some level of security. And that level of security may be, after a certain amount of time, you decide, okay, I can't invest more time in this. 25 for all that? Yeah. But asset bundles are great values. If they are things that you want in your game. But generally with bundles, the value you get is you're paying $25 and maybe you want 2 things out of the bundle. Like, if I were to try to use this, I'm not actually going to use this bundle because it's not in the style that I need for a lot of this. But if I were to really try to make this work for me, I might use the Barbarian here, I might use the Dragon here, and that's it. But $25 for just those 2 is still a good value. But that's how you should be using bundles. You might buy that? Fair enough. That's part of why I look at these. Are we? Nope, still going. But guys, make sure you can pay your bills is my point. You need to be able to pay your bills. You need to be able to put food on the table. Like, make sure your basic necessities are taken care of. You respect my opinion, but you'll follow your own conclusions? That's your choice. You don't hear from me in 2 years, it'll mean I went homeless or died. But notice, you have 2 years of money to coast on. If you didn't have that, what would you do? Like, if you didn't have that 2 years of money to coast on, you don't have a choice, because you're already at the point of being homeless if you don't go get a job. Saved up money first? So did I. And if I had realized I wanted to create a game studio at the point when I started eating into my savings, my game would be done right now. But I didn't know. Said you shouldn't commit to two things at the same time. I think that is a silly simplification of life. So, should people who want to be actors not have jobs as waiters in order to pay their bills while they're trying to become an actor? Oh, shouldn't commit to two things at once. Should people who need to have a day job to pay for their schooling when they're going through college, should they not be allowed to go, should they not go to college because they don't have the money up front for that? I think you are oversimplifying what a successful outcome looks like. And this idea that it's not possible to be successful while having a day job, like having... Not really a fair comparison. How is it not a fair comparison? How is a 4-year investment at a massive cost while maintaining a day job? How is that not a fair comparison to a 2 or 3-year investment into indie development and a big indie development project while maintaining a day job? How is that not comparable? I'd say it is completely comparable. Part of why I used it. Rather be, don't make a movie and work as a waiter at the same time. What do you mean, don't make a movie and work as a waiter at the same time? What do you mean? You mean the actor? Trying to be an actor while you are starting your acting career. Making a movie is a okay, actors starting out do not make a lot of money. When you are just starting out your acting career, you do not make enough money to live off of. Period. You have to maintain a day job as something. And if you don't do that, you will be homeless. So there's all kinds of industries where the advice you're making right here just cannot work. Like, no actor would ever become a big actor if they didn't have something else paying the bills when they started their career. There's a reason there's this big trope of actors living off of tips until they get their breakout role, right? Same thing with art. Yeah. Trying to... No, being the actor is the goal. Trying to be an actor is the process by which you reach that goal. Making a game, making a movie, writing a book. These are not comparable, my dude. How do you know that you're an actor? Because you are acting in a role. But roles that you get in the start of your career as an actor will not pay enough to support you. That's how it works in the industry. Like, I think you have some romanticized view of what it means to work as an actor and how much money you're making. Like, starting out as an actor, even a movie role where you're a minor character, maybe you're only making $5,000 to $10,000. And that's all you make from that movie. Sometimes not even that. Okay, that's not going to support you. I'm not talking about extras. I'm talking about minor characters that have lines in a movie. I don't have any view of how it is to be an actor. Okay, but I'm outlining a creative profession. And besides, we're still not comparing apples to apples, because you're trying to, like, an actor, you're saying go be an actor and make money off of it. Well, the actor is being paid while they're doing the acting. Someone who's writing a book is not being paid while they're doing the writing. Or someone making a game is not being paid while they're making the game. Like, creative ventures like this and starting a small business, it is extremely normal to have a day job and this idea that you're committed to two things. Well, okay, if I'm married, I'm committed to my relationship with my wife, and part of that is I need to be committed to bringing in money. I need to be committed to maintaining my house. I need to be committed to all kinds of things. Like, the idea that you can be committed to any one thing at any point in your life is, again, an oversimplification of life. Making a game takes a certain amount of hours, let's say 5,000. You work on your game 8 hours a day, you'll reach the goal quicker and probably be more focused on doing it, right? Sure. If that is a financial option for you, yes, you are correct. But that doesn't mean that if it's not a financial option for you, you shouldn't still try. If you want to make a game and you're only able to commit to 1 hour a day, let's say you're only able to commit 1 hour a day, go ahead and try still. Why not? If it's something you enjoy and you want to try and break into that industry, start working on it. Is it going to take you longer? Absolutely. And I'd say you shouldn't try. With that mindset, 90% of the products out there would have never existed. This idea that if you can't commit fully to something, you shouldn't even try it. That's not how anyone conducts anything in life. Like, even the example you are using where you saved up money ahead of time, you built a contingency plan. You gave yourself enough runway that if things fail, you still have enough time to go get a job other than what you're doing right now. So even in your example, it's not do or die. It is do or go get another job. You decided to front load that work. Well, who's to say someone can't support themselves on a bare minimum with a part-time job and commit the rest of that time to development? Saving money ahead of time and making money in a game at the same time are two fundamentally different things. No, they are not. Because the years that you were saving up money, if you could have been working half as many hours, making half as much money to just barely get by, and then continue that work during these years, while also having done development during those years, is absolutely comparable. Like, the model you're suggesting works for you, maybe, but it's not the only way to do things. And I would encourage you to not discourage people who want to try alternate models for creating things. Unreal game design VFX bundle. That's going to be all Niagara simulations. Don't want to use those. You notice how many YouTuber developers also have successful indie games that could support them own? 0. The answer is 0. 1. I don't know that. Where half measures get you? Again, I don't know that. You're saying that. I don't know that. Okay, that one's done. This one was run, right? Ah. Because if there was one with a successful game, you'd know his name already. I barely know any YouTubers. The fact that I don't know someone's name definitely does not mean they don't exist. I mean, if we want to talk about people who have been successful while working on different things... Okay. MatPat. MatPat has about 3 or 4 different businesses that he runs at once. And he is, I would argue, one of the most successful people that have come out of YouTube. He's got a consulting gig, or a consulting business. He's got the YouTube business. He's got how many different YouTube channels? He's got, and there's at least one other business that I'm not remembering. Well, and he was running those. That he didn't start by running 4 businesses at once? Correct. He was specifically running the consulting business and the YouTube business at the same time at the start. Absolutely was doing both. And he picked those because they supported each other. The work he did with consulting directly related to how to better his channel. The same way, the work I'm doing with my channels directly impacts the quality of my development. And the quality of my development, in theory, provides more value to people watching my show. So there is an excellent example of someone committing fully to 2 things. Okay, let's see. Pirate Software. I think we can definitely agree that Pirate Software is massively successful. Has massively successful games. Has massively successful presence on YouTube. He's a successful streamer, not a developer. How is he not a successful developer? Has Pirate Software not released successful games? Let's see. He says games are 100% subsidized by his audience and your popularity. Okay. Is he spending time developing those games? Yes. Is he spending time growing his presence on social media? Yes. He is committing to 2 things. Your advice to him would be don't even try to develop games. Okay. What is the time frame that he should be releasing these games? Like, I've just given you two excellent examples of people that fully committed to two things at once and were hugely successful. If you'd like me to find more, I certainly can. Isn't it like 7 years after the Kickstarter? I don't know what Pirate Software is working on right now. I know he does live development every single day. Game should have been finished 3 or 5 years ago. Okay, what is your standard for success, my dude? What is your standard for success? He has actively had a streaming channel and published games. What do you want? Like, here are examples of people doing exactly what you have said you should not do. And I'm not going to belabor the point anymore. Like, are there people that have failed in doing this? Yes. Are there people that have succeeded in doing this? Yes. Million copies is a success. That is absolute and total nonsense. If you don't sell 1 million copies, you're not a success. That's absolute garbage. I'm not even going to entertain that. Sorry, Zlad. Like, you have a lot of really good input on a lot of things. This is not one of them, my dude. If I could sell even 20,000 copies of my game, it would be enough to support my ongoing development for the next 7 or 8 years. Like, the idea that 1 million copies is what you need to be a success, that's... Sorry, my dude. That is a garbage take. I'm just gonna be blunt with you on that one. You have ridiculously low ambitions, my dude. I have realistic goals. I know that I'm not going to be a massive success with my first game. That almost never happens. So, if I can make enough money to fund ongoing development for a decade later, that's a success. Like, this idea that you have to commit fully, and if you're not a huge smash success, then you're a failure and you've died as a business. Come on, my dude. Come on. Let's be real. Any small business would be thrilled to be able to sell 20,000 copies of anything. That's how small business works. Like, you don't need to be making AAA numbers if you're an indie developer. It's just not necessary. And like, this idea that being financially viable, 20k is not a success. 20k is just like, bro. I think if you're going to maintain that mentality, you are never going to reach something you're successful with. This idea that you have that you need, like, selling 20,000 of something is just life. No, it's not. Selling 20,000 of something is an absolute, undeniable success for a small business. And anyone out there would agree. Like, anyone who's ever operated a small business will absolutely agree with me on that. Because let's run the numbers, right? So I'm planning to sell my game for $10 a pop, okay? 20,000 times 10, okay? Steam takes their cut, so times 0.7. Okay, 140,000. Okay, so Taxman is taking at least 40,000 of that. Let's just assume half. Okay. Okay, so I've made 70,000 in the bank. That is enough to support ongoing development for me for at least another 2 years. Great. I have enough money to make my next game. And in theory, my next game, I should be able to make faster and better than my first game, because I'm more experienced now. This is how you get by as a small business. Small businesses don't grow out of nothing and then just become smash successes on average. The way you grow a small business is you make enough money to get to the next year. That is the goal of a small business. And anything beyond that is gravy. Now, ideally, 5-10 years down the line, that small business grows into something that can support you with excess. That's fantastic. But especially at the start, your goal is just to not be losing massive amounts of money. Oh. I did not start the next render. And I would encourage anyone, if you have an idea for a product, go start working on it. To this point, I can only say one thing. Okay. May the best dwarf win? All right. I think we need to encourage more people to try new things. And the standard shouldn't, most small businesses did not start off by people saying, okay, I'm going to abandon all revenue streams in order to start this business. That's not how the world has worked. It would be really cool if it did work that way, but that's just not reality. Run recovery. That is idle free. And for other people listening, all this discussion doesn't even get into the concept of diversified revenue streams. Having a business doesn't mean you just do one thing for making money. For instance, the membership gets you access to dev tools I made in order to produce my game. Okay, those tools can serve two purposes. They can be incentives for people to subscribe to me, and they can be how I make my game. My game sells 1 million copies. I'll personally give you a shout out and mention this discussion. I would appreciate it. Obviously I would not turn that down. Let's see. And I mean, a big part of my channel, why it exists, is to show people the failures and the learning. You're not going to be a success at everything you do the first time around. That doesn't mean you can't improve. That doesn't mean you can't get better and turn into a success. Idle. Oh yeah, that's not really an idle animation, but alright. Positing, model, render. I think that's one thing that discourages a lot of people from even trying anything, is They see people who are very good at something, and they assume, well, if I'm not good at that thing, if I'm not performing at that level when I start out, then I'm just a failure. Obviously not. Not how human learning works. No, I did not understand the dwarf reference. Sorry. Like, that's part of why I want to show you guys all of my failures, all of my difficulty in development, and my confusion with Blender, and my confusion with Godot. So you guys understand, oh, this is a normal aspect of growing as a developer. Gimli before the Battle of Minas Tirith. Did he say dwarf? I didn't remember that part. Yeah, I don't think there's anything I want here. But the, hold on. Where is this coming from? Alpha Academy. Alpha Academy. I guess I didn't check to see that they're accredited. On the previous one. I should double check that. Thunder. Okay, so these do not seem to be accredited, but it's not obvious to me that that's not the case. You'd think they'd be mentioning it though. I'll paste. So this is actually something to take into account in the value of these packs. If these are accredited, they are more valuable. Oh, certified wireless network administrator. Let's see. What do you got? Course info. Credited certificate upon successful completion. There you go. Yeah, let me go ahead and link this one as well. There we go. So, if you are trying to use that line in its full context, assuming I'm remembering it correctly and it's correct, that's not exactly a friendly response to me, my dude. But the purpose of the line in context is to say, I am obviously better than you, and is meant in that context as a jab between two people that have been comrades for a long time. Between two people that are not that familiar, it is just a jab. Just so you're aware. Always rated as playful. Again, it's playful because they are long-term comrades at that point. Without that built relationship, the line doesn't mean the same thing between two people. Okay, what are we gonna spend time on other than watching this render? Gotta be something we can do. It's more interesting. I don't know. I don't know. Is there something simple I can start working on? I could try to get the new damage indicator, the flash white. It'll break the golem big time until I get these renders in. Why would the context matter? So, I mean, I explained the full context. It is two people that have known each other for a long time at the point in the story, and they have a rivalry going on. And that... Jab wasn't printed? Oh, I'm fully aware. I am conveying to you so you understand the context of that line. And Gimli saying it to Legolas is meant to convey, I'm obviously better than you and will win. Because Legolas is not a dwarf. If he had said, may the best person win or man win, maybe would have a different, like that has a different meaning. But the statement, may the best dwarf win, is obviously I will win. Like, I'm not even putting you in consideration to win this contest. That's what it means. And the reason it is playful is because they have a long-standing rivalry. That is a friendly rivalry. Yeah, let's get started. We're gonna break Golem for this, but it's fine. And it'll simplify some of my ready stuff. Well, to think of it. Because I'm having to do... Wait. Oh no. Will that work? Yes. It will work for enemy. Yeah. Attacks are still going to be weird, but... Oh, good. Render! Alright, my dude. You have a good night's sleep. And I will continue piddling away at this while slowly re-rendering this stupid model. So slow. You're working your way back to the correct holiday, slowly but surely. Take care, my dude. That's up to here. This is gonna break something, I just know it. But we gotta do it. Right. Is there a way I can have this dynamically inherit the parent's dimension? Don't think so. Because if I add let's add a test texture here. Crystal. Oh, it does work. Let me to wait. This isn't gonna work. Well, one, it's not gonna work because I'm not allowed to instantiate enemy base anyway. That's gonna explode at me.